Hello everyone and Happy New Year. I am very happy to be with you. My name is Issam Ghazzawi. I'm the Professor of Management at the University of La Verne, and today we will be talking about strategic organizational leadership. Basically, the importance of leadership in any organization, regardless of its type. Let me go by starting from the basic. As all of you know, a leader is an individual within a group or an organization who wields the most influence over others. Leadership is not a word, it's a term. Leadership is the process whereby one individual influences other group members toward the attainment of defined group or organizational goals. So basically, in order for us to have leadership, we're going to have three components: the leader, him or herself, the followers who are following this particular leader, and the purpose. There will be no leadership if there is a leader, he or she has followers, and they have no purpose. Additionally, there will be no leadership if there's a leader and he or she has a purpose, but he or she does not have followers. And of course, there will be no leadership if there's followers, purpose, and there is no one to lead. So in order for us to have leadership, we must have all of these three components working and aligned together. How good of a leadership it is when the leader is well connected to the followers, and the followers and the leaders are well connected to the purpose. When it comes to the characteristics of the leader, it is about the drive, the honesty and integrity, the leadership motivation to lead his or her team, the leader's self-confidence, his or her cognitive intelligence. What do you mean by that? The leader has to be also smart. Cognitive intelligence, how we usually measure it? Through IQ. And of course, emotional intelligence or social intelligence is equally important. How we measure it, EQ. Knowledge of the business is so important for the leader. Creativity and flexibility. The leader must be creative and must be flexible. It is important to differentiate between a leader and a manager. The old say that a leader leads and a manager manages. It's true. If you look at what a leader does, a leader is about establishing the mission of the organization. Then gradually, let's move on the leader's role. It is about the formulation of a strategy to accomplish the mission. Now, manager's role will start by increasing followers' commitment and support towards the missions and the strategy. And very importantly, just do it. Implementation or implementing the organizational mission through others. So basically, a leader is about mission, vision, and the strategic outlook. The managers is about bringing people to commit to the mission and the vision and the strategy of the leaders, and very importantly, do it, implementing the mission through people. Okay, it's important also to differentiate between the autocratic style and the delegation style of leadership. You know, Autocratic decision-making style is when the leader is not influenced by others, my way or the highway. It means that there is less participation from followers, and the leader, him or herself, is less participative leader. On the other extreme, we have the delegation style when a leader permits others to make decisions. So this is a more participative style. And of course, we have people in the middle. It is about consultation and joint decisions. Which one is better? There's no one is better. It depends on the situation. If I am a leader and I have my other managers who are equally qualified, let them make the decisions themselves. If the issue is complex, then it makes sense to have consultation and joint decisions. If the issue is simple, let others make decisions and come to the leader when it is needed. So now we're going to discuss strategic leadership, slide 6. You know, in what we do in the organization, it is so important to understand that having a successful organization is one thing, but knowing how to keep it going is the real key to success. What I mean by that, if you are successful today, this success must be sustainable. We must keep the success going for the future. In any business, regardless of its type and size, there is no substitute for good leadership, futuristic vision, good information, due diligence, and teamwork, just to name a few. So basically, we need to have a strategic outlook at the organization, and this strategic outlook cannot be happened without having a strategic leader. Now let me move to slide number 7. While we are emphasizing the importance of the role of leadership, the leaders cannot demise the constant changes taking place within the environment of the industry. Lots of changes happening at all times. A strategic leader must be aware of what is going around the organization, the changes in the environment, and the changes in the industry itself. Her or his actions can either take the organization in downward spiral. If he or she is making the wrong decisions, the organization might go down. If he or she is paying attention to what is happening outside, that will help the organization keep going and continue in its health. You know what? Life is teaching us every day great examples of leaders who failed their organizations and leaders who took their organization to the next level. You know, one of my favorite examples is always a camera company, Kodak. Kodak missed a lot. There is lots of consideration they did not pay attention to. They miss on what is happening in our environment out of the belief that no one will be replacing the film. It is unfortunate for Kodak, the company that led the world in imaging, that today it's in a very, very bad shape. So that was one of Kodak's biggest mistakes, and you cannot point blame to the company. You have to blame always the people who are in charge. I'm talking about leadership. So it is important to have the good leadership that will take any organization into the upward spiral. So let me move to slide number 8 and continue talking about this leader. You know, a strategic leader is someone who plays many roles, and one resembles the skills of meteorologist. You know, we want to see what's happening in the weather and the climate outside. This is a good strategic leader. Forecast a turbulent condition so that the necessary precautions are implemented. This is exactly what we should do in the organization. I have a new competition outside. There is a new product that is outperforming ours. There is a new technology. We need to be looking outside in order for us to sustain our growth and success. So as I have said before, we need to be taking the role of meteorologist. I need to forecast all the conditions that are happening outside. My failure to foresee the future or to act upon the data that I should have, it will lead to the brink of failure. And if you go to any publications, if you go to the internet and you put the word failure or failing organizations, you will receive many, many, many organizations that have failed before. And the failure is also relevant to the leader. I am now on slide number 9. I will be discussing the major functions of the organization. You know, when it comes to organizational turnaround, organizational failure, I have done a few publications. It's available on Google Scholar or on any academic database. All what you have to do is put my name. You will find it, you can read it, and I have lots and lots and lots of examples of organization failures, and of course some great examples of organizational success. Give you a few examples of organizational success. Look what's happening. Apple, a great company. Its success is a reflection of the leadership success. Microsoft, same thing. Samsung, Tesla, just to name a few. When it comes to the major functions of the organization, it has been suggested that organizations perform 3 major functions. Think about it, 3 things. The social function, we are together, working in a social environment. The managerial functions, we need to manage what we do, and very importantly, the entrepreneurial function. We need to act as entrepreneur. We want to make sure that the product has, all the service, of course, the product and or the service has value to the customers. So we want to make sure that we are fulfilling our social function, we are fulfilling our social functions, we are fulfilling our managerial functions, and very importantly, we are also fulfilling our entrepreneurial function. In order for us to have a great organization, let me move you to slide number 10. What do we mean by organizational social function? Social functions pertains to the organization's basic or very existence as a social institution, with the purpose of serving its customers, and other organizational social responsibilities and needs. We have social responsibility. We have responsibility towards our society, the environment that we live. And of course, we have responsibility towards our owners, our shareholders, and to our employees. We want to ensure that we are fulfilling their needs, and also we are providing employment and income for our employees and for our shareholders. So this is the basic existence of any organization, is to fulfill its social function. Then after the social functions, we have, this is on slide 11, the managerial function. Managerial function is about how economic resources should be allocated. How are we going to allocate our economic resources, and how different tasks must be performed. So basically, we are going to be concerned about planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. How we are going to plan our work next month, next year, 2 years from today, 3 years from today, etc., how we are going to organize in order for us to provide value to our customers and to provide employment to our people and to provide income to our shareholders. Who is going to be responsible on what? Who is going to be in charge of who? This is organization. Then how are we going to lead and motivate our people? How are we going to lead the organization to sustain its growth and success? And finally, of course, controlling. The right hand must know what the left hand is doing, controlling on all the resources, and very importantly, controlling the quality of what we do. And finally, we have the entrepreneurial function that focuses on the discovery and exploitation of new business opportunities. All the time, we must be on the outlook to discover and to exploit new business opportunities. So basically, when we look on the outside, we need to look for the opportunities, and also, equally important, the threat that we have in the environment. We need to minimize our threat by being capable to outperform our rivals. We need to focus on our competitive advantage. We need to make sure that we are improving the value chain. And very importantly, we need to leverage our strength in the marketplace. Entrepreneurial function is very important function since it drives innovation and sustain the firm, and of course keep it viable and relevant. You know, today an organization needs key individuals and organizational entrepreneurial capabilities to be competitive and to stay relevant. Today, the rivalry is wide. Every company is other companies' rivals. So this is why we need to have a strategic look and strategic leaders who pay attention to the organization to sustain its growth. The three functions that I have just touched, you know, the social, the managerial, and the entrepreneurial, are interrelated. We cannot separate them. The social function, for instance, impacts and imposes various constraints on the entrepreneurial and managerial functions. How we are dealing with our customers, with our employees, with our clients, impact how we manage the organization and impacts the entrepreneurial function. So everything is interrelated and interlocked. On slide 13, I showed you how these functions are connected. So the entrepreneurial functions influence and impact the social function and the managerial function. The managerial functions impact and affect the entrepreneurial function and the social function. The social functions also impact and influence the managerial and the entrepreneurial function. On slide 14, I have to mention that the entrepreneurial and the managerial functions impose their own constraints on the social functions. First, I said that the social functions impose its constraints and requirements on the managerial and entrepreneurial function. In the same talking, both entrepreneurial and managerial functions impose their own constraints on social functions. How we do things, how we organize, how we plan, how we lead, how we control, and also our innovation and creativity also impact the social functions of the organization. Important to say, any failure in any of these three functions negatively affects the other two functions. We need to be successful in all these three: social, managerial, and entrepreneurial, in order for us to take the organization to the next level. We cannot afford being behind. We need to always think about how we are going to keep being relevant. If failure goes unchecked, it can lead to organizational decline and eventual demise of the organization. I would like you, if you have a second, go on the internet, put my name, and add organizational decline and failures. It will give you a good idea how great names failed. And of course, because of the leader or the lack of the leaderships. I am going into slide 15, the role of strategic leadership in organizational rejuvenation. This is how we are going to rejuvenate the organization. Additionally, I have another article. You can go to Google Scholar. It's put my name and organizational turnaround. So basically, strategic leadership is the ability to influence others to voluntarily make day-to-day decisions that enhance the long-term viability of the organization, while at the same time maintaining its short-term financial stability. What I mean by that? We need to influence the day-to-day decisions that will have a futuristic outlook, that will help us in the future becoming more successful or sustaining our growth and sustaining our profitability. So what we do today will affect the future positively or negatively. It is concerned with the creating and sustaining the organization's competitive advantage. So We need to have competitive advantage today, but having it today is great. But keeping it for the future is a big challenge for the leader. Our society is not constant. What we do today doesn't mean that it is going to be the same for tomorrow. Think about the camera of yesterday. It is completely different than the camera of today, right? So there's a new technology. There is a new need. And customers are demanding. They are more demanding than there were before. Everybody wants his or her product yesterday, not today or tomorrow. The customers is very demanding, and these days the challenge is to fulfill what they like at the best quality. I think I have a great quality product, but I want to make sure that it is a really great quality product in the eyes of the customers, and it's not in my eyes only. If I do what I believe without paying attention to the outside environment, I'm shooting myself in the foot. It is not what I believe, it's what the customer value in every aspect, the quality, the look, the ability to get the product that is defective-free. A client cannot afford receiving a defective product. So we need to keep our improvement on ongoing basis. Research and development is a must happen in any organization. Now, on slide number 16, I am continuing talking about organizational rejuvenation. And I always believe that strategic leadership premise is focused on ensuring the organization's long-term perspective. We are looking for the future. We need to involve a great, realistic vision, meaning that leaders are future-oriented individuals. They are futuristic people. A leader cannot sit still, thinking what I have, what I know is great for the future. We had a great company that was in the lots of products, retail, basically technology and appliances, called Circuit City. Unfortunately, what happened? Circuit City was the largest retailer of technology, all the types of computers, notebooks, cameras, TVs, screens, refrigerators, lots of appliances. It was a great name. What happened? Gone. Bankrupt. Why? Because of leadership. Unfortunately, they did not have the leaders who've got futuristic vision. They made lots of wrong strategic decisions. You will be able to find lots of information on Circuit City. A case in point, leadership is the center of all of the organizational functions. He or she is surrounded by all of these functions, so he or she must pay attention directly or indirectly via the right empowerment of other leaders to all of these three functions to ensure that all of these three functions are working together. A success on all of these functions lead to organizational success. A failure on any of these functions will lead to organizational failure. I'm going on to on the slide 17. Having a strategic leadership that is concerned with managing the strategic decisions that lead to the wealth creation process of an enhanced organizational performance has always been the priority of the organization. You know what is the purpose of the organization is? Other than providing value to the customers, is basically to create and enhance its wealth. And of course, that I personally believe that they should be also managed with ensuring that they are doing their share of corporate social responsibility. But basically, generally speaking, I want to provide value to the client, and also I want to create wealth to the owners of the organizations in order for us to sustain and to get all the required support, and also provide employment to the people who work in the organization, and also be a tool to help the community by us becoming an active social responsible partner in our society. On slide 18, I have figure 2, the strategic leadership and organizational success or decline. This is a very simple figure if you pay attention. I adapted this figure from the organizational decline figure. The challenges of that any organization is having is when we are in a blinded stage, we don't know that we have challenges. So we move from blinded stage to inaction. Inaction when the leader doesn't do anything, thinking that it's not important. We can continue on our declination when the leader or the management of the organization makes faulty action. This is faulty action stage when we make the wrong action or when we make the wrong decision. For example, our sales is down. First, we don't know. This is blinded stage. Second, in action, we don't do anything. Third, we make the wrong action. Oh, let's hire more people to sell. This is a faulty action when in reality we are not able to sell because there are better products in the marketplace. So the problem is not our salespeople, our sales capability. The problem is not having the right product that clients want. If we continue on this, we will reach the crisis stage. We are in a stage of a crisis. If we don't have a radical change, the organization will go into dissolution. The organization will be gone. On the same slide, if you can see on the left side, I have strategic leadership failure when we go from blinded to inaction, to faulty action, to crisis stage, and to dissolution. That leader is a failed leader. When we go into dissolution, we have no other choice. On the right-hand side, I have, if you can look at it, I have strategic leader success. What I mean by that, how the organization will be successful and will perform better. In a blinded stage, a good leader will look for good information. When it comes to an action stage, the leader will prompt action. we need to act. Faulty action stage, the leader has to correct the action. In a crisis stage, we need to have a leader that will make effective reorganization. So basically, good information, prompt action, correct action, and a radical or effective reorganization will lead to successful organizational performance. Please look at the figure, sit down, relax, look at it. You will be able to understand it. We are now on slide number 19, initiating structure versus consideration structure. I want to simplify it. I want to ask you, what are the two most important things in today's organization? Two things. People and performance. Nothing else, right? So we have the two things that we need to pay attention to. The people and the performance or productivity. So basically, initiating a structure is how much a leader takes care of productivity or concerns with the productivity side of the organization. Consideration, how much a leader concerns about the people in the organization, and both varies from low to high. Based on that, let me go to slide number 20 and show you how easy this challenge to be understood. If you see on the vertical line, this is the consideration line. Consideration for people, low to high, meaning that the leader does not care about people. This is when it is low. High is when people are the priority for the leader. We are very much concerned about our people, and of course, we have people in the middle. On the horizontal line, this is the initiating structure, the concerns for productivity, the concerns for performance, and also it varies from low to high. How much we are concerned about performance? Not concerned at all, low, middle of the road, and we are highly concerned with performance or productivity. This is high. Based on that, if you look at the slide number 20, we have 4 dimensions. On the lower left-hand side, as you can see, low concerns for production and low concerns for people. What's this? This is impoverished leadership style. When a leader doesn't care about people and does not care about performance at the same token, what's going to happen to this organization? This organization is going to go bye-bye in no time. On the upper left-hand side, you can see low concern for performance. The leader doesn't care about performance. But he or she cares a lot about people. Caring a lot about people is great, but also how about performance? An organization might be struggling with this style of leadership. I call it a country club style. People are more important than performance. You know what? They will be happy today, but they're not going to be happy tomorrow because the organization is going to face lots of its challenges that could lead to its failure. On the other hand, on the right-hand side, on the lower side, that I color it blue, high concern for production or performance, but low concern for people. This is what I call it task management. The concern is always performance, performance, performance. Well, while it depends on what type of the industry, I think a good leader must try to balance it a little bit and pay more attention to people here that will keep the morale up. If you go to the upper right-hand side of figure 3, you will see that the leader is pretty much concerned about the two things: high concern for productivity or performance, and in the same token, high concern for people. So both performance and people are equally important, and this is what I label it team management style. So basically, people and performance are equally important. Think about it. We spend at least 8-9 hours from our productive time at work. So we need to have what I call it the social functions. We touched on the social function before, but we need to have the ability to socialize and to work as a group. 9-10 hours from our productive time is at work. Think about the time that you spend at home. Not many hours, because lots of hours when you are at home, you will be sleeping. So this is unproductive time. So we need to have the environment and the culture that we feel we belong, and very importantly, we are productive people. So this is the team management style. This style will take the organization to the next level. And of course, we have people in the middle who are trying to figure out how to go, where to move, and how to improve. Finally, that's it. Love to meet you one day in one of my classes, virtually or in person. I wish you all the best, and I would love to say thank you to IBS for providing this opportunity to the learners who like to improve their educational and professional ability. Thank you.